Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. To preside at the head table, I would now like to call upon the following dignitaries. President of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, Dr. S.M. Arnold. Our orator for the night, Dr. Latika Athauda. Dr. Tushanida Brera, Secretary of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, and the Treasurer of the College, Dr. Athula Lenapathirana. Thank you. I would now like to invite the President of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, Dr. S.M. Arnold, to address the gathering.
Good evening. Past presidents, fellows, members of the council, members of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, members of the family of Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe, our orator, Dr. Latika Athauda and family, and distinguished invitees. Thank you everyone for being with us today. We are very pleased to welcome all of you to this very important annual event of the College, Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe Oration. Dr. Felix Ananda Wickremasinghe was born in 1923 and received his early education at Royal College, Colombo. He graduated MBBS Ceylon in 1948. Following his internship, he joined the Department of Health Services and was one of the first to opt for a career in public health. In 1954, he received his postgraduate diploma in public health from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Upon returning to Sri Lanka, he was appointed as the Medical Officer of Health, Panadura, and later joined the anti-malaria campaign in 1958. He was later appointed as the Superintendent of Anti-Malaria Campaign in 1963. In 1971, Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe was appointed as the Deputy Director, Public Health Services, and in 1972, he was appointed as the Director of Health Services, a position he held till in 1974. His international career commenced while working for anti-malaria campaign, and he was a consultant to WHO, TropMed, World Bank, and USA. In 1975, he was appointed as the Regional Advisor on Malaria at the Southeast Asian Regional Office, WHO. On his retirement from the WHO in 1984, Dr. Wickremasinghe served as a project chief to the USA-funded malaria control program. Throughout his illustrious career in public health, Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe dedicated himself to combating resurgence of drug-resistant malaria, capacity building, and incorporating research into malaria control programs. In recognition of his contribution to the public health, He was made a fellow of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka in 1997. Once again, I extend my warm welcome to all of you to the Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe Oration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the highlight of the evening. Therefore, I would like to cordially invite Dr. Emanuel once again to recite the citation of our orator, Dr. Lanka Atauda.
Dr. Latika Atauda is a senior lecturer at the Department of Public Health, Faculty of Medicine, University of Kelaniya. She obtained her primary education at Anla Vidyalaya, Nugegoda, and her secondary education at Visakha Vidyalaya, Colombo. She entered the Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of Sri Jayawardenepura, and graduated MBBS with second class honours in 2011. She captained the university swimming team and was awarded university colours for swimming throughout her undergraduate period. She was a member of the editorial committee of the faculty journal Focal Point. Throughout her undergraduate years, she worked as a part-time speech and drama teacher at the Wendy Watmore Academy of Speech and Drama, and also went on to become an associate fellow at the Chartered Institute of Marketing, United Kingdom, upon the completion of the professional postgraduate diploma in marketing. Dr. Atauda completed her internship in pediatrics and surgery at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital. Soon after, she joined the Department of Public Health, University of Kelaniya, as a probationary lecturer. She graduated from the first batch of Master of Public Health in Epidemiology degree at the University of Kelaniya in 2016 with merit. She went on to pursue a Doctor of Philosophy at the University of Auckland, New Zealand, through a scholarship offered by the University Grants Commission, Sri Lanka, and University of Kelaniya. She completed her PhD at the School of Population Health, University of Auckland, and was awarded the Doctoral Publication Excellence Scholarship in 2020. In her academic role at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Kelaniya, Dr. Atauda works as a Secretary of the Curriculum Committee, Academic Counselor under the Career Guidance Unit, and is a member of the Research Management Committee, Students Affairs Division, and the Board of Study in Medical Sciences. She is currently the coordinator of Master of Public Health in Epidemiology degree program and the Secretary of the Kelaniya University Faculty of Medicine Teachers Association. Dr. Atauda is committed to capacity building and works as a Secretary to the Training Committee of the Global Health Research Unit for Diabetes and Cardiovascular Diseases in South Asia, funded by National Institute of Healthcare Research, UK. She is involved in organizing training programs and workshops for PhD students and postdoc researchers in the South Asian Consortium. She is currently supervising 2 PhD students, 6 MBBS research projects, and 1 undergraduate research project under the BSc in Speech and Hearing Sciences at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Kelaniya. Dr. Atauda has been involved in various research projects at the Department of Public Health since she graduated as a doctor. She has field level experience in research on communicable disease, health policy, food environments, and substance use with local and international collaborations. She has worked as an independent research consultant to the Center for Combating Tobacco, University of Colombo, and the Institute of Policy Studies of Sri Lanka. Currently, she is involved in a global policy advocacy group, the Asian Alcohol Policy Alliance, and is working in a multi-country study titled International Alcohol Control Study, which compares alcohol policy environments in different countries. Dr. Latika Atauda aspires to contribute to the policy research and the development of national and international policies in tobacco, alcohol, and non-communicable diseases. Dr. Latika is the daughter of Mr. Ranjit Atauda and late Mrs. Priyanti Atauda, and has one elder brother. She is married to Mr. Niraj Nigama, a software engineer, and is a mother of two children, Danuli and Vinuka. It is a great pleasure to award the Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe Medal to Dr. Latika Atauda, and I invited her to deliver the oration.
The President will now award the College of Community Physicians Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe Orators Medal to Dr. Latika Atauda. Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite the members of the head table to proceed to the audience for better visualization of the oration.
Good evening. President, College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, Madam Secretary and the Executive Committee, members of the College Council, past presidents, members of the family of late Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe, Professor Rajita Wickremasinghe and Professor Wickremasinghe, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a privilege to be standing here today to deliver the F.A. Wickremasinghe Oration for 2023. I am humbled by this opportunity given by the College of Community Physicians. Late Dr. Felix Ananda Wickremasinghe was a magnanimous figure in the field of public health in Sri Lanka. He was a trailblazer in public health work, a health administrator, and his work as the superintendent of the anti-malaria campaign was instrumental in controlling the malaria epidemic in the early 1960s. His work has received both local and international recognition, and Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe had an illustrious career in public health in Sri Lanka, and he went on to serve the World Health Organization as the regional malaria advisor for over a decade. Probably his greatest contribution to the field of public health was his son, Senior Professor Rajita Wickremasinghe, who is currently the chair professor at the Department of Public Health at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Kelaniya, through whom the legacy lives on. Although I was not lucky enough to have met late Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe, I am proud to be a student and a junior colleague, his son, Professor Rajita Wickremasinghe. Malaria was one of the greatest threats to Sri Lankans in the 20th century. And in the 21st century, we are faced with more conspicuous and difficult public health challenges. Globalization, the internet, and harmful commodities injurious to human health pose new challenges, especially to vulnerable populations, our children and young people who are the future of mankind. Adolescents include children and young people aged between 10 and 19 years. Around 40% of adolescents are current drinkers in the United States and Europe. while over 25% are current drinkers in the Western Pacific region. But drinking among Asian adolescents is approximately 21%, which is slightly below the global average of 25%. The latest trends, however, show that young people in high-income countries are drinking lesser, giving rise to a downward trend. But the per capita alcohol consumption among young people in Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka is expected to increase over the next few years. South Asia is home to about a quarter of the global adolescent population. And in Sri Lanka, adolescents take up more than 16% of the Sri Lankan population. And their health and well-being predicts the future of the country and therefore cannot be undermined. The Global Burden of Disease Study in 2018 announced that the safe level of alcohol consumption is no consumption. When drinking is initiated at a young age, adolescents are more likely to continue that habit into adulthood and less likely to give up in comparison to those who initiate at an older age. Therefore, starting to drink at a younger age has detrimental health effects which may be amplified considering potential drinking into the future. The harms of drinking during adolescence can be discussed in terms of its triple effect, now, in the future, and for the next generation. Adolescent drinking affects their brain development. Drinking may lead to risky sexual behavior, intentional and unintentional injuries, and can carry its effects into adulthood as productive years lost due to liver disease, cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Alcohol use initiated at a younger age can continue as adult drinking behaviors. And these adult drinking behaviors can then cause a ripple effect on the next generation, with the implications on families such as violence, marital problems, and child abuse, and on the community such as vandalism, social costs, and work-related problems. The detrimental effects on their potential offspring as fetal alcohol syndrome and perinatal conditions such as low birth weight. Social determinants operating at an individual, family, neighborhood, school, societal and national levels strongly influence inequities in adolescent drinking and their related harms. Furthermore, as adolescents navigate their way into adulthood, they are exposed to marketing of harmful commodities including alcohol due to the exploitation of weak regulatory environments. With the increasing power of the alcohol industry, there is an urgent call for policy response to control commercial determinants of alcohol, which are strategies used by the industry to promote alcohol. For example, pervasive marketing, like what you see here. On the left is an advertisement from a hotel in Colombo to promote an alcohol brand to coincide with the premiere of one of the most popular television series the world over. This was actually a part of a global campaign. And the other is a promotion for St. Patrick's Day, an Irish celebration, rather uncommon for Sri Lanka. And these are some examples of marketing strategies used by the industry, which would make an impact on the social determinants of adolescent drinking in the country. There is a need to build resilient health systems which are ready to tackle the above determinants at a global playing field. There is an abundance of scientific evidence in global literature to note the social and commercial determinants play a major role in influencing adolescent drinking. Such evidence in the South Asian region and in Sri Lanka, however, is rather scarce. While the political will for curbing alcohol use is watered down by its economic effects through taxes, evidence suggests that the economic burden of alcohol due to loss of productivity and premature mortality outweighs the government revenue by a wide margin. Therefore, in terms of alcohol, the need for prioritizing health benefits over economic benefits is evident in Sri Lanka. The gap in empirical evidence on distal level social determinants of alcohol drinking and the emerging evidence of commercial level determinants guided my work on the influence of alcohol marketing policy environment on adolescent drinking in Sri Lanka. The epidemiological triad, a fundamental theory in public health, has been used to illustrate communicable diseases such as malaria by analyzing the interaction between the host, agents or vectors, and their environments. Similarly, interventions related to alcohol control have also been discussed based on this epidemiological triad, using the host as the drinker, vector as the industry and its associates, and the environment as policy and the political landscape. Inspired by literature, I looked at adolescent drinking guided by the alcohol-specific epidemiological triad, which considers an imbalance of the vector, the environment, and the host. One focus was on the exploration of how alcohol marketing directed by the vector or the industry influences the host, adolescent's drinking. The other was how the policy environment allows the vector to operate and enable adolescent alcohol use through alcohol marketing. Here, adolescent drinking was considered a behavioral issue of concern or the disease. The impact of both the vector and environmental factors on the host was studied, acknowledging the interactions that may exist between the policy environment and alcohol marketing. A systematic review was conducted to describe the factors influencing alcohol use among adolescents living in South Asian countries. This was especially useful in understanding the gaps in knowledge regarding the determinants of drinking among South Asian adolescents. The review findings were synthesized by grouping the predictors based on the individual development in ecological framework, which has been previously used to describe lowering alcohol use among adolescents in Europe. It considers the factors that are operating at individual, family, school, peer, neighborhood, and country levels, as the factors are the factors that influence adolescent drinking. And in this review, we found that data predominantly was from India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. It identified that individual factors such as being male, aged over 14 years, having low academic achievement, family factors such as religious beliefs, ethnicity, parental or other family members' alcohol use, reduced parental interaction, peer factors such as drinking habits or pressure to drink alcohol, approval of peers of drinking, and neighborhood factors such as urban living were found to influence drinking behaviors among adolescents living in South Asia. Being a female, having educated parents, and being a Hindu or a Muslim were found to be protective factors. More recently, there was emerging evidence that poor enforcement of policy and media portrayal were promotive towards adolescent drinking in Sri Lanka. Latest literature from the South Asian region also show an increasing interest on distal level determinants of alcohol drinking, such as media, policy, and social norms. Evidence, however, is still scarce, possibly owing to the lack of in-depth exploration, revealing a gap in the empirical evidence. The research question, how does the alcohol marketing policy environment influence drinking among adolescents in Sri Lanka, was explored using two separate strands. Strand 1 looked at the influence of the alcohol marketing exposure on adolescent drinking through focus group discussions conducted in a community setting and surveys conducted among school-going adolescents in a school setting in the Colombo district. Within the community setting, a total of 8 focus groups were conducted among male and female adolescents separately. These discussions were conducted in urban metropolitan, urban slum, and suburban areas, which sampled heterogeneous groups of adolescents from various socioeconomic backgrounds and living locations within the Colombo district. The school-based survey was conducted in Type 1A and 1B schools, grade 12 and grade 13. Public, private, and international schools that fit the inclusion criteria were sampled using probability proportional sampling. A total of 1,086 students participated in the survey that was conducted in Sinhala, English, and Tamil, and all participants were aged between 16 to 19 years. Strand 2 looked at alcohol marketing policy environment through a desk review of policy documents and interviews with policy stakeholders. The document review attempted to describe the policy environment based on its content, context, processes, and actors involved in alcohol policy using scientific literature and policy documents. This step facilitated the identification of policy stakeholders who were then interviewed to understand the gaps in the policy environment, as well as look at alcohol marketing directed towards adolescents and young people. The group of policy stakeholders included decision makers within ministries and the various governmental institutes, non-governmental organizations, policy researchers and advocates, as well as stakeholders involved in adolescent health. Focus groups with adolescents found that media, culture, and society contributed towards building social norms around adolescent drinking, based on the perception of normalcy, implying that it was normal for young people to experiment with alcohol. Adolescents were inclined to test their limits and experiment with alcohol, facilitated by the influence of their peers. Participants experienced some restraints, which resulted in them questioning the normalcy of drinking. And these restraints appeared to be driven by inconsistent alcohol-related values portrayed by their parents and other adults, and ambiguous law enforcement. These findings combined to develop an overarching rhetorical question. It's normal to drink, isn't it? Different schools, home locality, and family environments of participants resulted in a spectrum of perceptions and behaviors related to alcohol use. Adolescents from affluent backgrounds living in urban areas affiliated with modern subcultures perceived drinking as normal and engaged in drinking with their relatively independent environment. Exposures in their daily lives and social contexts influenced these norms around alcohol and reinforced their behaviors. Comparatively, participants with less independence from suburban areas or the outskirts of the Colombo district held conservative beliefs around alcohol, which were influenced by their social contexts. Girls in metropolitan areas were more open to alcohol use and found themselves in environments that promoted it. However, girls living in suburban areas away from the city were comparatively less exposed to alcohol marketing, thus more reluctant to take up drinking, but still found it exciting. Although findings unpacked the influence of social determinants of drinking, participants were unable to connect their experiences to commercial determinants of drinking. However, the overwhelming presence of commercial determinants in their day-to-day environment, as paid user content on social media or discrete alcohol marketing on traditional media, was evident in this study. Such commercial determinants contributed to cultural and societal norms, perceptions, and decision-making. The notion, it's normal to drink, isn't it, can be illustrated using social learning theory. Acquired learning through daily life observations within social contexts or the media has created the notion of drinking as normal. For example, adults drinking at family gatherings was normal to adolescents. Meanwhile, a different set of observations contributed to questioning these norms. For example, observing council every morning where they promise not to consume alcohol. However, adolescents learn through observing adults and make opportunities to imitate the same behavior. This experimenting is illustrated in social learning as modeling and imitation that leads to social reinforcement. A survey was conducted among 1,086 participants. This included both male and female, whose mean age was 17.4 years. 16.2% of participants reported as having consumed alcohol at least once. Among the 176 adolescents who had ever consumed alcohol, 85% were males and 15 were females. The prevalence of current drinking, defined as having taken alcohol on one or more days within the past 30 days, was 6.4%. This too was much lower among females than males. The percentage of adolescents who had ever consumed alcohol was 43% among those attending private and international schools. This was significantly higher than those attending public schools, whose ever drinking prevalence was only 14%. Similar to ever drinking, the number of adolescents engaged in current drinking was significantly higher in private and international schools compared to public schools. Among ever drinkers, initiation was observed as early as 7 years or younger, while the majority initiated drinking between 16 to 17 years. Over 1/3 of the participants claimed that alcohol was affordable, and accessibility to a drink was declared as easy by 40%. Out of the adolescents who had purchased alcohol for themselves, 53% said that they were not required to show any ID or proof of age. Social media users were likely to be ever drinkers. When segregated to high, medium, low, and non-use of social media, a higher proportion of ever drinkers were high users of social media compared to never drinkers. Adolescents were exposed to alcohol marketing via online and social media platforms. Many had noticed advertising related to sponsorships and product placement. Statistically significant associations were observed between marketing exposures and ever drinking status. Marketing exposures included advertisements seen at outlets, events, online, or media, drinking scenes on television, movies, music videos, or vlogs, being tagged on social media, and attending Facebook parties. When controlling for age, sex, type of school being public or other, and social media use being high, medium, or low, exposure to alcohol marketing was associated with a higher likelihood of having consumed a drink at least once. Exposure to alcohol marketing here was noted through international sports events seen online or on TV, local music, theatre, fashion events, shops, pubs, restaurants where alcohol is sold, and photos, images, posts related to alcohol on social media. The exposure to each type of alcohol marketing noted earlier increased the likelihood of adolescents being an ever drinker by 1.7 to 2 times. Adolescents attending private or international schools were 3 times more likely to be ever drinkers than public school attendees. In addition, males were 3.8 times more likely to be ever drinkers compared to females. With each increasing year of age, the likelihood of drinking increased by 1.5 times up to 19 years. Compared to low or no use of social media, high and moderate users of social media were twice as likely to be ever drinkers. Alcohol use behaviors among Sri Lankan adolescents is comparable to that of South Asians. This may be attributed to cultural and societal norms that are apprehensive towards adolescent drinking in Sri Lanka and elsewhere in the region. With increasing socioeconomic status, drinking behaviors as well as perceptions and norms towards alcohol changed among the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, let me focus your attention on the images here, captured by me at cafes and restaurants in Colombo and the Negombo areas over the past few years. And my children were here with me when I captured them. Please note that Sri Lanka has been identified in the global alcohol policy space as one of the few countries that have an absolute ban on all advertising, sponsorships, and promotions. A quick look at the NATA Act will tell you that all three of these promotions are legally punishable offences. Here are some content seen on my own social media accounts. The first, from a paid Facebook promotion promoting unlimited cocktails for women. The next, promoting weight loss beer. This was one from an Instagram page that I stalk for updates. And the third one is from the Instagram page of a popular YouTuber and influencer who currently has 13 million Instagram followers. She is a brand ambassador for Johnny Walker and is promoting the brand Jane Walker for women around Women's Day. This is only a fraction what our adolescents may be seeing in their daily lives, offline and online. On a lighter note, the metaverse seems to really know me. I like to enjoy myself, I don't mind losing some weight, and I hold a feminist ideology. Media is a powerful tool that sets trends for young people by creating subcultures, normalizing drinking through celebrity endorsement and marketing. Its impact on creating norms related to alcohol has been discussed in the Indian context. Sri Lankan adolescents were more interested in digital and social media compared to traditional media, television and radio, that is. Legal restrictions on media advertising in the Sri Lankan context may have limited their marketing exposure. As empirical evidence suggests, media influence was discussed as a third-person effect, influencing those younger than themselves. Social media especially was highlighted with the same self-aggrandizement. Adolescents felt that they were able to resist the influence of alcohol marketing on social media as it was just normal to them. Social media was quick and effective in creating the norms in the adolescent world. Literature suggests that viewing alcohol-related content on Facebook and considering it as normal contributed to developing a positive attitude towards alcohol and lower perceived vulnerability to consequences of drinking. The current study participants portrayed a similar notion, that they were invincible and not influenced by social media portrayal, as they considered drinking as normal. Social circles and subcultures appear to define the magnitude of alcohol marketing that the adolescents are exposed to. For majority, social media was an integral part of their life, linking them to peers and social circles. They observed and engaged in alcohol-related content on social media on a daily basis. Whilst the evidence of alcohol marketing on social media platforms is available from India, and evidence from other South Asian countries is absent in the published literature. Young people are known to absorb lifestyle-oriented online alcohol proportions as a positive input. In addition, they also associate or dissociate themselves with different subcultures represented through social media. An abundance of global scientific evidence links alcohol portrayal on social media with young people's drinking, creating social norms for drinking through marketing. Since social media connects peers together, peer belonging, alcohol use and social media were invariably intertwined and had a strong influence on young people. Peer influence is crucial in shaping alcohol-related decision-making. Dynamic changes in friends' drinking behaviors over time predict individual drinking in early adolescence, as they closely follow their peer behaviors. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past few years, although legally banned, alcohol marketing has been evident as direct in-store promotions on various social media platforms, movies, and quite obvious promotions like this one, on the billboards on our roads. Sri Lankan legislature is strongly influenced by religion and culture. Buddhism decries alcohol and other intoxicant use. And in this setting, the National Policy on Alcohol of 2016 identifies the need to reduce harm due to alcohol and aims to support the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol Act 27 of 2006, in NATA for short. The National Alcohol Policy recognizes social consequences of alcohol use and support the prevention of industry interference. The NATA Act that regulates marketing and social elements of alcohol is under the purview of the Ministry of Health. In contrast, policies set out by the Department of Excise are focused on regulating alcohol as a commodity and the industry activities. It is also responsible for excise tax revenue brought into the Ministry of Finance. The Departments of Police and Motor Traffic regulate policies under their respective departments, which are related to alcohol. The Ministry of Finance, under which the Department of Excise functions, and the Ministry of Health work closely on alcohol policy formulation and regulation. The national policy, though not approved as a law, covers marketing, pricing, availability and accessibility, consequences of alcohol use, community action, surveillance, rehabilitation, prevention of industry interference, and financial policies. Similar to the 69% of countries with a national policy, the principal responsibility of the national alcohol policy in Sri Lanka lies with the health sector. In the current context, the national policy has acknowledged that alcohol marketing through various channels target adolescents and young people. Operational level policies, however, are yet to be drafted to legally regulate social media marketing and internet-based promotions. Minimum pricing policies or fixed pricing strategies are yet to be designed for alcohol. In the recent past, policies on beer pricing, personal storage, and transport volume of alcohol have been drastically relaxed without reasonable justification for doing so. Minimum purchase age and restrictions on outlet locations are sound policies that support the protection of adolescents from the harms of alcohol. However, extension of opening times of alcohol sales outlets are not a positive reflection of alcohol control policies. Key informant interviews with policy stakeholders highlighted the lukewarm nature of the alcohol policy environment in Sri Lanka. Lukewarm here implied a dialed down or softened policy environment, contrary to what a policy environment should be for a harmful commodity such as alcohol. This environment was shaped by the inherently challenging policy environment and externally influenced by the powerful industry vector and an amber-light approach to public health programs. Policy inertia was associated with contextual issues such as passive policy enforcement, fragmentation, and deliberate thwarting of processes. Overall, policy inertia has contributed to the overarching lukewarm policy environment. Local researchers have recognized this and called for better multi-sectoral collaboration and strict implementation of the laws, as well as firm political will for alcohol control. The social context of drinking in Sri Lanka is quite unique, and people's perceptions and behavior around drinking has been changing over the years. This evolving culture elaborates the diverse perceptions on the drinking context among the participants. Weaknesses in the legal health system and policy loopholes are evident in Sri Lanka. These loopholes and ambiguity in policy discourse, combined with the passive approach to enforcement, leads to a weak policy environment. Diluted policy ideas emanating from policy actors who consider social drinking as a norm was not heard of in tobacco control work. Meaning, although for tobacco policy, stakeholders agreed on the fact that smoking was bad, hence a very clear red light. It appears that the policy environment for alcohol gives an amber light. The Ministry of Finance is more powerful than the Ministry of Health in both the Cabinet and in the alcohol policy environment. The different ministries are governed by different agendas. One aims to control alcohol and reduce harm, while the other is not focused on controlling or curbing alcohol as a commodity, but on regulation and tax revenue. The Ministry of Finance manages supply and demand aspects such as pricing, demand and availability, and making impactful decisions, while the Ministry of Health is perceived to work on social aspects such as alcohol marketing. This fractured system was thought to be counterproductive to effective policy development or enforcement. The National Alcohol Policy of 2016 was drafted to be an exemplar alcohol policy under the patronage of the WHO, whose main objective was to reduce the harmful use of alcohol. Pushback from local policymakers ensured the objective to be changed to reduce harm from alcohol, claiming to suit the local drinking culture and context, as the majority in the country were abstainers. Strong demand drivers such as low pricing, easy availability and accessibility facilitate drinking environments for adolescents. Similar to tax on tobacco and sugar-sweetened beverages, alcohol tax applied to the amount of alcohol per drink has facilitated reduction in the total consumption levels in regions such as South Africa. The effect of policy-level interventions on harmful commodities has been reiterated at a global level. Although policy expects to protect adolescents in Sri Lanka, this study reveals how pricing and access policies have disregarded evidence of their public health implications. Evidence suggests the links between policymaking institutions and alcohol industry. Adolescent drinking is currently not a priority in the Sri Lankan policy agenda. Policy inertia results in liberal alcohol marketing through social media and other innovative channels that directly target children and adolescents. It is imperative that policy challenges and weaknesses are understood in order to move alcohol control forward. Globally, industry interference in alcohol policy occurs through misinterpreting evidence and misinforming policy, and this is not different in Sri Lanka. The industry efforts on unethical partnering in policy formulation and implementation have been described in low-income and high-income countries. The call for governments and international agencies for evidence-based regulation, pricing and legislation on alcohol and other harmful commodities has been made at a global level. But global policy inertia is evident too, concerning commercial governance of harmful commodities, including alcohol. Tobacco policy advocates were able to maintain consensus on policy solutions at a global level, especially with industry interference, enabling success stories in low and middle income countries. But alcohol policy advocacy is still struggling with problem definitions and solutions to alcohol-related harm. Globally, evidence suggests that current alcohol marketing regulatory systems on social media are inadequate to protect vulnerable adolescents and calls for an urgent policy response, engaging all stakeholders. Sri Lanka is yet to recognize alcohol marketing on social media as an emerging issue. Overall, alcohol is not considered a priority, even at relevant government authorities in Sri Lanka. The predominant focus is on tobacco and other non-communicable disease risk factors. Alcohol is only identified as a risk factor. The most pressing issues are the poor enforcement of local regulations, especially in terms of advertising, promotions, and sponsorships. Adolescents in Sri Lanka are therefore exposed to pervasive, globally normalized expectations of alcohol use. This environment is shaped by a combination of factors, including a lukewarm policy environment, an aggressive marketing environment that exploits the lack of regulation on social media marketing, and a resultant social environment permissive towards adolescent alcohol use. The alcohol industry directs its activities through marketing approaches and its influence on alcohol policy. The mere existence of policy does not warrant complacency, as the industry is able to circumvent policy and creatively attract vulnerable populations such as adolescents. Despite a low drinking prevalence, adolescent alcohol use within alcoholic environments should be addressed as a priority to mitigate future risks. The term alcoholic environment was derived from literature which refer to environments that are conducive towards drinking. The different findings of this study were pulled together to develop this model noted in the image, which describes the alcoholic environment that promotes adolescent drinking in Sri Lanka. The model attempts to describe the influence between vector, host, and environmental factors as per the conceptual framework discussed earlier. It does not focus on identifying factors as negative or positive, but rather as factors that have an influence on adolescent drinking, such as commercial determinants of the vector and the ambivalence of the policy environment, which contribute towards developing cultural and societal norms that can be permissive towards drinking. This study set out to describe the influence of the alcohol marketing policy environment on drinking among adolescents in Sri Lanka, and it finds that distal level determinants such as cultural and societal norms create an alcoholic environment in which adolescents' norms and drinking behaviors may be influenced. Their social capital can also contribute to this in either a positive or a negative manner. The study findings infer that cultural and societal norms are created through commercial determinants and social media platforms governed by the industry, as well as inherently weak policy environments that include weak public health approaches. This is a simplified model of an issue that is much more complex than it shows. It needs additional work to understand proximal level determinants operating at individual, family, peer, and school level and their interactions. The policy environment is an ambivalent one, where inaction and lack of monitoring helps achieve an equilibrium that keeps both the industry and the policy system happy. Alcoholic environments described in high-income countries have described it in context with different cultures and policy environments. In Sri Lanka, the alcoholic environment is a more subtle one compared to some countries where alcohol marketing is not banned. Alcohol marketing operating at a global level has resulted in a call for urgent policy response to counter vested interests by the industry at both national and international levels to protect young people. Alcohol is one of the most aggressively marketed consumer products in the world. Alongside digital marketing practices, the advent of social media platforms and the role of the influencer has offered unparalleled market reach. Marketing by social media is largely unregulated, and alcohol promotion in low and middle income countries is proving highly profitable solely due to the large and increasing adolescent population. National and alcohol policies need to be evaluated and strengthened in terms of enforcement. This calls for political will, policy evaluation, and stakeholder commitment towards strengthening the existing policies and creating new policies to control commercial determinants that are operating within the country. Public health programs on adolescent drinking in Sri Lanka need to focus on the changing alcoholic environment, quite similar to the changing environment of a vector of a communicable disease. The focus needs to shift from the post to the policy environment, an approach that resonates with building resilient health systems. Ladies and gentlemen, the subtle and undercover alcohol marketing strategies of a few years ago are now refreshed, and they come directly in contact with our young people through their personalized Instagram feed or Facebook timeline. Learning from the slick strategies used by the industry, public health approaches too need to embark on more contemporary approaches, such as social media platforms, to engage with adolescents. Such public health responses need to involve adolescents to co-design strategies to tackle adolescent alcohol initiation and continuation. Lessons can be learned from countries such as Lithuania, who have been successful in enforcing extremely strict alcohol control policies on traditional and digital media through meticulous monitoring of digital platforms. I would like to share with you a suggestion made by the World Health Organization Europe Regional Office, which could circumvent the liberal marketing of alcohol and other unhealthy commodities on digital and social media platforms. They suggest enforcing strict laws to tag social media and other digital advertisements portraying unhealthy commodities such as alcohol before they are uploaded to the World Wide Web. The central location this happens usually is an ad agency, and a regulation should also be in place to monitor all social media pages and influencers engaged in paid promotions. Such policies are already in place in European countries such as France and Germany. The WHO European Office then suggests checking such tags to restrict alcohol advertising content being seen by adolescents and underage persons. From the user's perspective, strict age verification data systems need to also be imposed for this proposed system to work. This suggestion was made at the Global Alcohol Policy Conference in Dublin, Ireland in March 2020, and I'm thankful for the input from them. I wish to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that control of alcohol marketing on social and other digital media is difficult, but not impossible. Future research needs to explore the work of transnational alcohol corporations in Sri Lanka and explore the influence of alcohol marketing by gender. Female drinking in Sri Lanka is possibly underreported, and as evident from the extracts shared earlier, there appears to be a strong, focused marketing directed towards females. In-depth local evidence on policy evaluation and implementation, coupled with greater political will and policy stakeholder support, would exert pressure on industry interference. Furthermore, role-specific global networks have also been powerful in agenda setting, policy formulation, and adoption. A lower middle-income country such as Sri Lanka may use such networks to strengthen its policy environment. Ladies and gentlemen, as this talk comes to an end, I hope you can take these messages home with you. If adolescents start drinking early, they are more likely to continue to drink into adulthood. Adolescent drinking is risky because of its triple effect on their well-being now, their health as adults, and the well-being of their children and society of tomorrow. Social justification of drinking at a younger age creates a permissive environment that promotes consumption. Social media permits the industry to access adolescents and thereby promote behavior. Loose policy environments combined with socio-culturally permissive norms positively influence adolescent drinking. Dear Sir, Madam, colleagues and friends, there is no time to be complacent. The alcohol marketing environment is dynamic and transforming as we speak. So how do we ensure young people are safe from the pervasive strategies of the industry? How do we create a safe place for adolescents to make healthy choices? It is time to take some action. I am raising 2 young people of tomorrow, and I am motivated to make their future better by empowering them to make healthier choices for their own future, and do likewise for adolescents in Sri Lanka and the world over. I would like to sincerely thank the College of Community Physicians for this great opportunity and everyone behind the scenes who made this event happen. Thank you, Professor Rajata, and Anradhini, Vishwa, Rasika, for critiquing my script, and Tilak for polishing up my slides. Thank you to all the participants of my study and everyone who supported this research and my thesis in numerous ways, for it was done through difficult circumstances. My work would not have been possible without the generous funding from the University Grants Commission, the Faculty of Medicine Ragama, and the University of Kalini. I cannot forget my supervisors who were the wind beneath my wings. Associate Professor Roshni Piris John, who was once an orator herself at an event like this many years ago. Associate Professor Judith McCool, Professor Shanti Amaratunga, and Professor Rajata Wickremasinghe. I take this opportunity to especially thank Professors Renu and Rajata Wickremasinghe. One conversation with each of you navigated my career to where I am today. Over the years, the kindness, love, and patience of teachers, relations, friends, and well-wishers have supported my journey here. Although I cannot name them all, I am forever grateful to all of you. There are no words to do justice to the support I have received from my constant and partner in crime and friend, Fox, and my husband Niraj, who in his own quiet way supports all the challenges that I take up. Thank you to my children, Chochi, Mali. You inspire me every day to be a better human being. Finally, I dedicate this work to my parents, to my father, who has supported me from the sidelines, and my late mother, who I really wish could have been here today. Mommy, I hope I made you proud. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Atharvan, and thank you very much for that intriguing and enlightening oration, and also for giving us insight on the determinants of alcohol drinking amongst the adolescents. And I'm sure all of us here today will take those take-home messages to heart. We have now reached the end of today's program. Therefore, to propose the vote of thanks, I cordially invite Dr. Kushani Dabrera of the College of Community Physicians to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Limani, for your kind introduction. Good evening, President, the orator tonight, Dr. Latika Taude, and the Council of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, past presidents, and all the fellows of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, Professor Rajata Wickremasinghe, and the family members of Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe, and all the officials of the Ministry of Health, academia, representatives from WHO and other donor agencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to have been given the opportunity to present a vote of thanks as the Secretary of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka on this momentous occasion. Our orator tonight, Dr. Latika Taude, thank you very much for sharing your findings regarding adolescent drinking behavior, a timely topic. Professor Rajata Wickremasinghe, Professor Renu Wickremasinghe, and the family members of Dr. F.A. Wickremasinghe, your continuous support in conducting this oration is highly valued and appreciated. President, past presidents, fellows, council members, and all the members of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka, thank you very much for extending your immense support to make this event a success. On behalf of the college, I extend our gratitude to all the Ministry of Health officials, academia, and UN agencies for being with us today to grace this occasion. Thank you, Chair and the members of the Oration Subcommittee of the College of Community Physicians of Sri Lanka. Your hard work and commitment in arranging this event beautifully is very much appreciated. A special word of appreciation to all the postgraduate trainees for taking the burden onto your shoulders in arranging this event. Director, Postgraduate Institute of Medicine and the staff, thank you very much for your assistance in making this event a reality. And our college assistant, Mr. Tushara. Thank you, Mr. Tushara, for your continuous support. Dr. Nimali Lanaro, our eloquent compeer tonight. Thank you very much. And last but not least, all the invitees who joined with us physically as well as virtually. Thank you for being with us today in spite of your busy schedule. We invite all of you for the refreshment and fellowship downstairs on the 3rd floor. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the proceedings of today. The Council of the College cordially invites all of you for refreshments and fellowship held in the 3rd floor of this building. We will now rise for the ceremonial procession, which will now leave the hall. Thank you, and wishing all of you